Definitely, definitely. All right, everybody. My name is Edmund Lee. You probably know me from the last podcast interview that we had together. The website is Ed is Pain Free. So all of you can find me on that website there, edispainfree.com, or also on my Facebook as well. You can find me. I have a group now. You can find me by that. It's called Pain Free and Peak Performance for Entrepreneurs and Coaches. And so the URL for that is Ed is Pain Free. And so what I do is I help coaches and entrepreneurs live pain-free and also achieve peak performance in their mind, in their body, and also in their state. And so that's just a really quick, brief overview of what I do exactly, Terrain.
Perfect, perfect. So let's catch up. The first time we spoke, you were going through a few things which led you to your path today. So remind us, how did you get started in all of this coaching towards performance? And tell us a little bit about your journey to that point.
Yeah, definitely. And so I'm now a coach. Right now, I'm coaching people to live pain-free and achieve peak performance. But before that, what led me on this path was it was actually an experience in my previous business, in the dry cleaning business. And so that business, I had got into that business back in 2014 at the age of 30. And at that point in time, I was in what I had considered perfect health, pain-free. I can move around. Mind was pretty clear, not really anxious, just pretty chill, relaxed. And so a couple of years into that business, I noticed that I started to have some pain in my body, a little bit anxious, it's like not really enjoying my work too much. And I was trying to figure out what was going on, right? I had some minor aches and pains in my neck and my back, in different parts of my body. And so at that point in time, I was doing the best that I could to address it in more natural ways. So, I was doing things where I was watching my diet, right? I was eating a lot of, getting a lot of nutrients into my body, green smoothies, things like that. But also at the same time, I was seeing chiropractics and massage therapists and different other more natural healing modalities to see if it could address it. And so what was happening was all that stuff, it was working, but it wasn't necessarily working. It was almost like I was taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, right? And so what happened was over time, it just got to the point where my pain started to get worse and worse and worse, to the point where, I was having a lot of difficulty getting out of bed in the morning. And it got to the point where I literally had to like roll out of bed onto my knees and just like push myself up to a standing position. And then from there, my alarm clock was set on the other side of the room. And so literally, I did this on purpose so that I would actually have to wake up in the morning. And so alarms blaring on the side of the room. I'm getting up, barely, like pushing myself out of bed. And literally I'd walk from one side of the room to the other side of the room, almost like I was stuck in a 70-year-old body, like baby steps. And at that point in time, I knew that, oh crap, like this is a problem. And if I don't change something, my future is going to be really, really bleak. And to me, I mean, I was in my early to mid 30s at that point in time, and it was a very confusing point in my life because here I am, I could barely move. I was having trouble. It was taking a few minutes just to get out of bed, and I could barely move from one side of the room to the other side of the room. And this is just one example. I was having difficulty literally even being able to, at work at the cleaners, just being able to bend down and pick up clothes and throw it into like a little bag or into baskets. Once I was like kneeled down and like down on my knees, right? I couldn't even get up. It's like literally I had to like use all my brute strength just to like pull myself up. And so that was just on the physical level, right? But like at least on the mental and the emotional level, it was at that point where I was just always anxious. It's like things were like really like they were like going like 1,000 miles per hour, literally. It's like you got calm, right? Well, calm is like one state, but then like I was on the opposite spectrum where it was just like, dude, it's like things were coming like from every single direction, almost like I couldn't process all of that stuff all at once. And and I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And um, so at that point in time, I could not figure it out because everything that I was already doing traditionally, chiropractic, massage, diet, and acupuncture, it wasn't doing anything. And it wasn't until I started to address some of the emotional aspects, to address some of the emotional healing, right? In terms of why I felt the way I felt, right? Because I was in a dry cleaning business, right? That was pretty much I was there from morning to night, right? It was also a really busy hustle bustle environment because we had multiple locations. And then it was almost like it was a toxic environment in a sense. with the relationships, but also the environment. And so I started to make the connection, maybe not necessarily at the beginning, but later on, a couple years in, that that was causing some of the pain. Some of the pain. I didn't necessarily make the connection at the time that there was a connection that was what was causing the physical pain. But once I started to address the healing on the internal, the emotional pain, that's when I started to see a lot of the things that I was doing already, like my diet, chiropractic, massage, acupuncture, and some of the other like more natural modalities. I saw that stuff starting to work better until the point where my health, my physical pain started to go down. It started to decrease. And as that started to happen, my physical body started to feel better. My mind started to feel more calm, more relaxed. It didn't really matter as much what was going on in my business anymore or what was happening in the environment. I was more calm and relaxed. And here I was in a business where I no longer loved it, right? But shortly after, somehow it just the stars aligned and we were able to sell the business. And I was able to get out of that business and really move into what I'm doing now, which is helping people to be able to live pain-free and achieve peak performance. And so when we had done the interview about 2 years ago, you had caught me more at the beginning stages, when I was about maybe like 5 months out, but like 5, 6 months out of my dry cleaning business. And so it's really been a journey since that time that we last spoke, and right now in terms of really that growth and development in terms of what it is I'm doing.
That reminds me of a time where I felt like my health was changing because I was taking on different stresses at that time. And I'll give you an example. I was in a situation where I was dating someone and it was keeping me up at night, right? It was putting stress on me, and it was a different type of stress that I wasn't used to because of stress in every day, right? Like, I'm going to wake up. How am I going to perform? I'm going to be able to help people, as you mentioned, right? Can I make people get better? There's different stresses in life. Some will push you to be better, some will make you feel worse. And one thing that I wanted to do was I had to figure out how am I going to be able to handle this because it's new and it had an impact. There's times where I would be sitting at home, Edmund, and I would start to feel like my temperature elevate because it was always on my mind, right? And then what I did was I had to realize, similar to you, I'd identify, hey, my life was a certain way up until this point. Something was introduced and is causing this reaction. I had to kind of like reverse engineer it and figure out. But as I look back, I'm happy I did so because I can more easily and more quickly identify things that will potentially cause me stress. So for you, Edmund, when you're looking back, did you realize or did you understand that you would be this far after going through what you went through, Edmund?
So as I look back on it, honestly, no. I mean, like even from 2 years ago, right when we last talked, or even when I was in the midst of all that pain, no, it's like heck no. I didn't imagine that I'd be where I'm at today. It was just one of those things where even when I was in the dry cleaning business, the only thing I was focused on was, hey, it's like what's right in front of me, right? And what do I got to do in this very moment to get to that next, like, what do I got to do right now just to get to that next step forward? That was all that was on my mind at that point in time. And same thing when we spoke about 2 years ago. The only thing I knew was, hey, I'm pain free, and here I am. I'm on this journey, and I'm helping others to be able to live pain free as well. And I mean, I always had a vision in terms of, okay, this is, it's like there's something calling me, there's something pulling me to be able to support other people in their healing process. But where it would take me, I didn't really know, but I'm a firm believer in that. It's like I just, for me, the inner world's a big thing. It's like my outer world is a huge reflection of my inner world. And so I just know at some deeper level, as I continue to focus on what's inside, that whatever comes to me on this journey, whatever presents itself on this path, hey, it's going to be perfect. And as long as I'm feeling good, I'm happy, and I'm aligned, you know what, it's gonna be one heck of a journey.
The clients that you're currently assisting, do you see a little bit of yourself in them as you're helping them?
Yeah, I'd say yes. I think that's the funny thing that I've noticed along the way is that there's it's almost like the right people come to me in a sense in that um what is it? It's almost like, at least for me, right? It's like it's almost like the people I work with, it's like it allow when I'm working with them, I see a lot of similarities. Whether in terms of like some of their internal struggles with like maybe procrastination or like self-sabotage or self-limitation, or just not being very confident in themselves or their ability to move forward. It's like these people, right? It's like I'm blessed to be able to work with these people, not because like I'm all high and mighty, but it's just like, I've been where they've been. I might not be like up here and they're like here, but I'm at least like a few steps forward, a few steps ahead of them, or even one step ahead, right? And that's all it really takes in order to be able to facilitate change in a person. And so I love working with people, and it's really one of those things where by working with people, it's almost like a mirror. It allows me to be able to see aspects of myself that maybe sometimes there's like some blinders on that's a little bit harder to see if I'm just trying to like analyze it or look at it myself. So it's almost like by working with other people, I'm able to see certain things about myself that may need additional healing or deeper healing.
For those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube, please follow along for more incredible interviews like my long lost best friend here, Edmund. And we will be back for more. So stay tuned.